Thule Tide's blog, which is the first recommendation on the list. As soon as I read that article by him, I knew that this guy was a good author. He was a good writer, good researcher, had a good head on his shoulders, and since then he has written many a valuable article. And his main themes, his main topics are the New World Order, European racial history, genetics. He exposes a lot of controlled opposition, and he recently wrote a really great article that we're going to read together called New World Order Agenda Explained. I would recommend checking out his blog. He also has a Twitter page. The big question is, why do elites want to digitize our identities? Well, according to the United Nations, their plan for the future of humanity is to corral everyone into fully digitized, 5G-powered, sustainably developed, climate change-friendly smart cities. Once the plebs have been forced to live in pods and eat bugs, elites will use these smart cities to monitor and micromanage our lives via AI automation, the Internet of Things, and Internet of Bodies. Everything you own will be connected, not just to the Internet, but to a worldwide system that regulates every aspect of your life. Your TV, trash can, fridge, oven, car, if you're allowed to have one at all, will constantly catalog your daily activities and feed round-the-clock real-time information back into the system. In turn, the system will control how you can interact with society. Digital identity is the linchpin of this entire project. Your entire life will be centralized via this singular point of contact with the system. Those without a digital identity will be completely cut off from the system. Your digital identity will be linked to every single one of your pre-existing identities, both physical and virtual. Your driver's license, regular passport, email account, social media accounts, phone contract, and even your bank accounts. This recipe for eternal slavery is being pitched to the masses incrementally and marketed as a series of life-changing revolutions in convenience and security. Agenda 21 is a long-term political strategy to reshape our entire planet. It was publicly announced by the UN in the early 1990s, but likely planned decades in advance. As usual, it is marketed to the public as a philanthropic crusade to save the world from climate change, poverty, hunger, disease, bigotry, racism, and so on, but it is nothing of the sort. It is simply a way for the globalist elite to solidify their rule and expand their power, not just over humanity, but all life on Earth. Below is the UN's official list of Sustainable Development Goals. Treat it as a hit list of things that globalist technocrats aim to micromanage. When they say things like, quote, no poverty, and, quote, zero hunger, what they're really saying is that they wish to have totalitarian control over humanity's finances and food supplies. They view humanity in the same way a farmer views his livestock, except, generally speaking, farmers do not despise their livestock. The United Nations works hand in hand with private corporations, international NGOs, and nation-state governments to implement Agenda 21. While on the subject of communism, the abolition of private property has been a primary objective of globalists since the days of Karl Marx, at least. According to the World Economic Forum, an official UN partner organization, quote, by 2030, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Yet another Agenda 21 rebrand. They aim to transform every country into a, quote, nation of renters, whereby everything is owned and controlled by rootless technocrats. Here's a tweet from the World Economic Forum. Welcome to 2030. I own nothing. I have no privacy, and life has never been better. I fear for the world my daughter will grow up in. You will subsist on a diet of industrial maggot paste, lab-grown fake meat, and microplastics. I just read the other day, did you know the average person consumes a credit card's worth of plastic per week? most of it coming from drinking water. There's microplastics everywhere. Oh, we live in some form of hell, fellas. It's something that I've tried to get into. They do have a religious sense of self-aggrandizement and megalomania, that they are on some mission from God to perfect mankind and basically become gods themselves. Alongside the United Nations, elites have also established a semi-decentralized shadow empire within the so-called private sector, which controls much of the world's finance, media, education, and corporations. This empire is connected behind the scenes via quasi-secret societies such as the Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderberg Group, and Trilateral Commission. The United Nations is essentially the public face of this covert shadow empire. Recent globalist rhetoric hints at a forthcoming synthesis between the shadow empire and the formalized world system under the United Nations. See the aforementioned public-private partnerships. Here's another chart you can look at with all the different connections between these parent organizations and all the corporations that are involved with them. Media. If you want to read the rest of it, continue on Thultide's WordPress blog. It's definitely worth finishing up. I think he really compiled, it's so dense. You could go through and search out every single one of these links, connections, references that he makes, and spend, an entire weekend going through just this article. This article could be like a university course.